Good evening, folks, or good morning for those in Australia. It is Saturday morning. Welcome to Something More Than Gibberish. Been really looking forward to this show. Today, our featured guest is Amy Laessle Morgan, or better known as Ultramarine_Poetry. I have known this lady for a bit now. We connected through, actually, I connected with her music that she used to post and then got into her poetry. And folks, when I say that you're in for a treat, that is no exaggeration. Amy's work is always heartfelt, from deep within the heart. The authenticity of her work is second to none. And she is one of these quiet achievers. You don't see her on many lives or so forth. You just see her posts come out. And then you read or watch her videos or read her posts, and you see the depth of her writing. Her creativity comes from deep within the heart. I have interacted with Amy a bit over the last couple of years, and I find her a beautiful, heartwarming soul, full of authenticity. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Amy up and let's get into this show. Again, thank you to everybody who's attending the room to support Amy. I hope my audio is coming through clearly. If not, please let me know. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Hello. Hello. How are you?
It's been a while since we shared a screen.
It has been. It's been a minute. I missed you. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Last year, it's last year now, yeah, 2024. I had to stop some of the open mic lives I was doing and all that because I had a few losses of close friends through their own hand and so forth. So I just needed that time for myself a bit. But these things happen. Congratulations on, look, you never know what life brings, right?
That is the truth. That is true, yes.
But,
Unpredictable.
and the sagas go on. Would have been around a month ago. A cousin of mine lost her son who was 29 to a rare thing of leukemia. He didn't take so yeah, so sad. 29. I mean, my son's not much younger. My son's 27, and it hits home how temporary life can be. So.
Absolutely.
But nevertheless, life goes on. Congratulations on the release of your book.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I was
It's been
so happy when that was announced because, as I was saying to the audience, the depth of your writing, it comes from the heart, and that's what I connect with. That's what I find so enriching to read. Different things motivate us to get into on our writing journey. What motivated you, Amy?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I appreciate all the kind words that you have said about me. It truly means a lot, and I just I'm so thankful and fortunate to have connected with you and met you on here. And as you remember, I was really nervous. I would never go on lives, and you were one of the first ones. You're like, I promise I'll make it easy. I'll make it's and I was really scared, but I was really at ease. So I just appreciate that, and that's part of how I've gotten on here more. And I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate you. So I just wanted to say, and also I appreciate you doing this too. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. To answer your question, I do believe we all have different reasons, that we got into writing. I always really enjoyed writing. I've always loved poetry, loved to read. But to be honest, I think it was first I would write, just personally for myself. I never really posted anything online. I didn't have like an Instagram poetry account at the time. But as you know, I did suffer also a loss in 2018. And it began as a way of my sharing poetry was kind of like me starting to process through those times. And that's really kind of when I began the Instagram page and I started using this outlet as a way to get in touch with those emotions. And at first it was really difficult because I know you also have experienced loss as well in many personal ways. I don't know if this has happened to you too, but I couldn't write about it at first. It took me a while. I was writing about other things, but no matter what I was writing about, it was always, I found that it was always very cathartic. And that just kind of is what fueled the journey and what led to eventually the book.
Well, you're right. I actually started writing for my own healing as well, never to be published, never to be shared with anybody, just purely for my own healing. And then here we are, you know, um, books later, here we are,
You have quite a few, don't you?
No, just a couple. I've been very slow on my third book again because of last year. The dramas that I had, my third manuscript took a bit of a backseat as well, including the live shows and everything else. So
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to take time out for your own healing, right? And your own and life. At the end of the day, you got to
Yeah.
live life if you're going to write about it.
That's
So
right.
everything's taken a back seat. Um, yeah, and I know that loss was that you mentioned that was a quite hard, difficult passage in your life as well. Do you find a lot of your writing stemmed from that change within yourself through the loss?
Absolutely. I think the best way that I've come to describe it is that you're kind of handed these, like you're going into this special movie that only that only people who've gone through something like that can see. You have these special set of glasses, and once something like that happens, you can't see the world the same anymore. It's just in some ways, I mean, now this is like 7 years out now, which it, and like time just, it becomes such a weird construct because it doesn't feel that far away. It still feels very close, but yet the farther away you get from it, it's like it doesn't feel that it's been that long. However, it has been, numerically that many years. But I feel like when I look back at it now, there's you start to just like realize the complexities and just the little things, and everything else becomes like so much like like you just said, like you realize how fragile life is and how fleeting it is. And so you just want to kind of like do what you can to grasp that with full force. And there is beauty in it, even though that's a really weird thing for me to say, but there is, I think you can't just see the world the same way that you saw it. At least for me, I don't feel like it was the same. And I think that is what propelled me, the depths of, what I was able to then reach and feel. And that showed in my writing because of that. Absolutely.
You, I couldn't agree more with your comment on. In some ways, it's there's a rare beauty, a weird kind of beauty to it. Like the biggest loss I suffered was now over 4 decades ago, and still to date, I remember it like it was yesterday. But I also draw strength, and in my time of with what I went through last year, with people I've known for 30 years who took their life, and then their kids took their life. Um, I strangely draw strength from losing my own father many decades ago, where I say, I got through that. And although he's gone, he's not gone. I can feel him around me. So although I've recently had all these losses,
Mm-hmm.
see the transition, not meaning to sound cold.
No, I totally understand what you're saying.
I don't feel it as a loss. I feel it as somebody that I can't see, but I can still speak to without words from my mouth.
Yeah,
At,
a different connection, a different presence,
yeah.
if you will.
At the end of the day, um, I've never met you. You're on the other end of the world, and
Yeah,
yet we can communicate in the same way. This is just the next level. I can't even see you once they've transitioned, but we can still communicate. They're still there, and that love in your heart should live on forever. Um,
yeah.
and I think that's beautiful that you do view it that way because I'm sure they're still always around you, guiding
Oh, yes. I
you.
mean, well, and you're so steeped within it too. I mean, it never, I know it doesn't leave you, and it's just like it's everywhere. It's a part of like the fabric of who you are. And not only did I lose somebody, I lost my husband, and so I lost somebody suddenly. It wasn't something that was expected, or I didn't. It was just in one day, and you lose a part of yourself with that. So not only was I mourning the death of, the loss of him and my life, your life, my whole life, was turned upside down in an instant. So I didn't realize at the time, because you have no, you have no idea how that's going to feel until you're actually in it. You can think about it, or you can say, oh, if that situation happened, I would do this and that, but you absolutely have no idea. And that's, where I found myself, is like, I didn't know how that was going to affect me. And this poetry that became this book that I wrote, I didn't feel like I was heard in a lot of ways. I didn't feel like a lot of people understood. I know a lot of people out there also have experienced something similar, but for me, it felt like it was hard for me to connect with the people right around me and explain to them like what I was going through. So it was a way for my voice to connect with others, or at least, that it was so multidimensional what I was experiencing. It was so hard to articulate to people. So I found that writing through poetry, because it wasn't just about loss, it was about love and resilience and anger and, every other emotion in between. And then, coming onto Instagram and connecting with other poets and other creatives and artistic souls, and just, there's such beautiful amounts of connection and community. And it was just it became like a little corner of the world for me, a little safe haven. And it just was so inspiring too, and so cathartic. So I was happy to land here and to also, have this be a part of my journey as well.
You mentioned sometimes you feel you're not heard, and that is actually uh, quite a valid point to me because one of my pet disappointments, let's say, is when somebody confides in you. Say, I lost my spouse, as you did. When you're trying to bear your pain, they say, "Oh, I know what that's like."
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Because your relationship to your spouse or that parent or that child might be very different to my relationship to that spouse or parent. So, do you, yes, you walk the same path, but do you really understand how I'm feeling? Listen to me. Don't turn it on, relate it to your loss, although it was the same.
Exactly.
Hear my, hear my,
Yeah.
and that's very important. And that's something I think when you try to confide or share your pain with friends or close relatives or whatever, that's where I find it comes short because we try to turn it to what we can relate to and not truly listen to what the person's saying.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things for me was feeling I was not um understood. And that's exactly, talking about what you're saying. Even though we all go through loss in life, I mean, that's part of life, is death. we all have different circumstances, and there's no one of us is going to experience something exactly the same way. So that became also, and also before this happened to me, I also didn't, see it the same way either. There are people who had, my friends that had lost, their parents or a sibling, and I didn't understand how to sit with that for them either. So I think it's been a huge learning experience about just so many things. But I think one of the biggest things that I struggled with was, I there's not a lot of people that will have, no one's going to have your exact same situation. But yes, I think everybody tries to connect in a way where they are trying to be supportive, but it also feels dismissive at the same time, because you're trying to tell them, like, yes, you do understand, but at the same time, I'm really struggling with this. And they just, you're trying to connect with them, and it sometimes feels like you can't get there. So I think for me, poetry was a way to kind of connect those universal threads. And it was just, I felt like at least if I could just get this out and one person would read it and they would go, okay, I feel her, I see her. I just wanted to be seen. That was it. That's really all I wanted, was just please see and understand, because it's so hard to explain what it feels like.
Well, from my perspective, Amy, I can honestly say that you are seen and that you are heard. I'm speaking for myself. Um, the way you have walked through the fire and who you've turned out to be, I think you've turned out to be a very beautiful soul who's very much in touch with the important aspects in life. Many of us chase the corporate status, the couple of cars in the driveway, the big house, etc., etc. But the things of true value, I think you hold in your heart, and that comes through in your writing. You also mentioned if one person out there hears or reads your words, this is one of the very reasons that I even have this show, and I handpick the guests that I feature, mainly because their content. There's some brilliant performers out there, brilliant poets. But what I look for is that content, because I look back on that 12-year-old child who grew up, who lost the closest person in his life to him, that father. And because of that, I even loved my mother through a wall for fear of loss. So I had to find my own way through life. And through my featured guests, through our discussions, through expounding on their poetry, if someone out there hears the word, the line, the sentence that they need to help them in their journey, that person, that little boy there, that little girl out there who has nobody else to turn to, we don't know, in the corner of the world. As you know, I post this on Instagram, which I'll add you as a collaborator. And then I also post a YouTube video of it, and I also create a podcast to which I'll send you the links for you to use as you please. You don't know who can see or who will listen to this whole show, and maybe they just need that one word that's said here that could change their life, that could help them overcome a big challenge, that could probably save them looking down the barrel of a gun.
I think that when you feel or you get those, of course not everyone, will be able to tell you that it touched them, but when you do get that kind of a feedback, it's just phenomenal. And it just, that, to me, that's everything. That's everything. That's the whole point.
It's awesome if you get that feedback, but even if I never heard from them, I never had that word of thanks, if it helped them.
Yeah, you can just hope that it does reach somebody that it needs.
Yeah. So let's tell people about your book. Let's showcase this. I love the title. Eh?
Thank you.
That is.
So this is my book, East Coast Heartbreak, my debut poetry collection here. And creating it was quite the journey. I tried to group it into, so it ended up turning into like a book full of, there's 6 sections that book is broken up into. So within each section, it kind of like moves through grief. So like here's one of the sections. It's called "If We Make It Through the Night," and I think it was really important to me because, as you know, like grief, everybody talks about is not linear. You kind of move back and forward through it. So that's kind of how I tried to set up the book, is like the experience of moving through that grief. You don't just read it from cover to, from front to back. You can, you're more than welcome to, but a lot of people kind of like jump around, and I wanted to give that kind of same like visual feeling of that's what grief feels like, is like, not just starting from beginning to an end point. You're kind of all over the place. So there are 6 sections in the book, and they're grouped into kind of like a feeling of a certain, I don't want to say a stage of grief, but that's kind of like, certain ones are like more about love poems and like longing and nostalgia, and then others are like, about grief and loss and just, sadness and all the feelings, fear. And so you kind of move through those sections in any way that you need to, really. And that's how it came together.
You're right, and that's how I read poetry books. I just literally turn to a page, and I happen to always go to a page, to a piece that I need at that time.
Yeah.
Uh, like Tom DeSaro's books, each of them are about 450, 500 pages. I've got all 4 of his books here. So I do not read that cover to cover. If I did that, I would miss so much of it as the other, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
His newest book sits on my coffee table downstairs, and when I do sit down on the couch, I just happen to pick it up and flick through a piece and whatever
I love
page
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and you end up finding what you need, and you don't even know. You just flip to it, and you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. What a lot of the feedback that I've had from my own books is where people find they read a piece today, it triggers off a certain line of thought in whatever they're going through. They read that same piece a couple of years later, it triggers off another set of thoughts. The exact same piece based on
Right.
what they're going. And that's, to me, that's why I even publish my work, in the hope that it can help people. My recipe, how I get through life, is mine only, not for anybody else. But what I hope is, for my ingredients, if that can help them write their own recipe on how to walk through challenges in life, then that's the purpose I write.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Exactly.
So speaking of that, shall we hear a piece from the
Sure.
book, or of your choosing?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a few pieces here. So I will let's see. I'm gonna start with a piece called Beyond Green Grass, and I'm not going in any particular order. So I think this one's smack dab in the middle. Beyond Green Grass. July is the cruelest month, breeding heat waves out of scorched soil. I yearn for nothing more than a soft landing place to rest this weary head, something good to hold me, if only for 1 second longer. I, I've smelled the wilting flowers in the funeral parlor. They smell just like the ones in my backyard. That green grass is always greener someplace far from home. The tragedy's always the same. All love is an illusion, within fractured mirror reflections of a tattered sundress worn like a shield of memories. Behind mascara-smudged eyes, this girl, with a shattered smile, knows there is no cure for the human condition. I did not go into this gentle, horrid night, but raged and forged masks in the face of melancholy, hiding behind them, scribbling words any place that would take them, painting grief in bold, indelible, brush-stroked stories, sleeping between manuscripts of Fitzgerald, Eliot, and Thomas, only to witness that green light is always just out of reach, because we are nothing but lost time and tragedies of a past life, unclaimable. All the love poems have gone sideways, now crumpled up, stuffed inside linen-lined pockets, never to see the light of day, for they may have failed. but the apathy has always got me. When empty room reminders harbor whispers of those who never stayed. And that was Beyond the Green Grass.
I love so many of the lines on their own were very thought provocative. Like that, no cure for the human condition. Yeah. Strangely, that's how we see life, right? Because we get one hurdle, we're faced with another and another and another. And then the green light is just out of reach. As I often say to my son, the day I stop learning, the day I feel like I have conquered life, is the day I stop breathing and start fertilizing the daisies.
Right. Exactly. We're always learning.
Yeah. You know, like even
Always.
today, my ripe old age, every day I'm learning something about myself through the reflection of somebody else that I interact with, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that piece had so many lines. This is why I love people's videos. Don't get me wrong. People don't take this the wrong way. I love your videos. I love watching them, hearing your recitals. But I do love reading them because I can read them many times. I can pause and ponder on each line. Like that piece you just read was so beautiful. But if I read that, I probably could spend half an hour just reading that, or hours, because I could read one line and just go off at my tangent in dissecting that, how it relates to me. Then the next line, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about your poetry. There's so many powerful lines that are not prescriptive, but evocative to provoke the reader's thoughts. Yeah, and that's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You mentioned that the first time you came on alive as my show. You know, Robert still compliments me on that. He goes, "You were the one who got Amy up on screen."
Yeah, you weren't. I think you and Nav, she invited me in, and I was so scared. And I think I have shared a screen with Robert maybe once. He also, you know, was somebody too that like everybody's just you know, so supportive and just makes me feel at ease. And I feel I'm still nervous, as you can tell. I'm so like nervous, but I definitely feel a lot less nervous and a lot more at ease than I did like way back then. So I appreciate it.
Two of the people you mentioned as two of the among the two of the nicest souls that I've met, Nav and Robert. They're both beautiful people. It really is. And as I promised after this feature, I'd love to have you and Nav together as well.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, she's amazing. And she actually, I do have to say, she helped me, you know, believe that I actually could put a book together, because I was like, no, that's not a thing. And she always had faith in that. She always says, I know you're going to do it. I know, I see it. She visualized it. And I've always appreciated that about her, having that confidence in me, and then it gave me the confidence to have it in myself.
Yeah. I'm so glad that Nav did, because I think I'm so proud, so glad, so happy that you did get your words out into a published book. Because as I said, even if I say, even on the Instagram post, say if you posted that very piece, yes, I can read it, but 6 months down the track, I'd have to go hunting through your feed to find where's in that. I've got it there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Let's tell people where they can get your book and in what forms. So there's obviously an ebook as well, I take it, and a hard copy.
Yes. So it is on Amazon, that you can purchase it. And I did just recently, as we talked about, expanded the distribution, so it should be available now and everywhere very shortly. I think they said by the end of February, but right now you can get it on Amazon, and you can also get the ebook, like you said. It's also in that format as well, and it's, you know, yeah, through Amazon. It's on my link too in the bio and my Instagram and my link tree. Everything like will take you there. we'll show you and guide you if you need to go through there, or you could just go on Amazon.com.
There you go.
Type in Heartbreak and you will find me.
Ultramarine _ poetry. Go there.
Yes.
In her bio. And I'm glad that you expanded your zones, because quite often, unless I specifically log into the US region, it tells me it's not available here.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So thank you for making me aware of that too.
And then they also charge a hefty post. Whenever I send you
I'm sure.
signed copies, so I sign a copy of each book and I send them, and the postage from here to the US or UK or Canada costs me more than what the books cost.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
So, what's next? Is there another book on in the making?
Well, you know, I do have some other things. I know you asked me about other publications that I had been in. So I do have some other things that I have been published in as well. And I do have, if you want to see those, I'll gladly share them with you. So one of the first things that I was actually published in, so this is Sterling Scripts. It's a local author collection here. I'm in Michigan. So this is a local author collection, and I'm in from 2020 until 2024. I had pieces published in it. So you can find me. These are also through my Instagram on my link tree, but this was actually the first. This was actually the first thing that I was actually published in. So this was my first. My first big break, I guess you would call it, right? But that was very exciting to have something published. And then I also was a part of this anthology, which is called Unsent Love Letters. And this was actually a beautiful project. There was an Instagram poet, her name is Arcliff. She put together this whole entire anthologies where we could all send her letters. We all wrote letters to people that are no longer with us. And she comprised them into this anthology. So I'm also in here. And then one other thing that I have, like the actual copy of, I was in Artifacts. It's a literary magazine. I have a couple of my pieces that were published in the fall 2023 copy of that magazine. So I'm in there too. So as far, and then other things that I'm in are mostly digital, like online magazines. Also through my bio, my link, you can find those if you want to read those pieces. And as far as a next book, it's funny because it was quite the process. I mean, it was an emotional journey, and I think anytime, and I know you understand this, so I don't need to tell you, but you know, it's so emotional because you have to not only revisit those pieces, you have to edit them, you have to reread them. It's almost like you have to relive them over and over and over and over again. So it was like a lot. It was really emotionally, especially what this whole book revolved around. But honestly, it kind of propelled me and fueled me, and I've seen like my writing progress, and that was very exciting for me. So now the stuff that I'm posting right now on Instagram, I'm like, oh, like I like this better, you know, like now I want to put this in something because those are great. There was a time and place for those, but now I want this. So, but yeah, I mean, it's probably a long way off, but maybe in the next couple of years you'll see another one, hopefully.
I'm glad to hear that. And you're right. For me, the worst part, the most arduous part of publishing a book is the editing. And what I find is with most professional editors, they would think in terms of a grammatical sort of edit, whereas to me, like I don't write structured poetry very often because I will not deviate. Say if I was writing a sonnet, I would not drop it to 13 lines or go to 15 lines.
Right.
Or if it deviates from the message I want to get across, I wouldn't exchange a word for the sake of rhyme if that deviates from the emotion of the message that I want to convey. Um,
Yeah.
Editors, I find they think in terms of that grammatical flow, blah blah blah, the rhyme, etc., or even the punctuations. Sometimes,
Yes. Yeah.
so for that, I do my own editing, and I find that the most tedious task ever.
Yes, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree on that. And I don't follow the rules either. You know, you learn the rules. I think I'm going to quote Julian Casablancas on this. You learn the rules so you can break them. And that's kind of what, you know, that was the most fun for me.
Yeah.
It's like breaking the rules was the most fun. But yeah, when they do try to edit it, sometimes it's like I would just say no. But you know, I still find things in there, little things that are not supposed to be there or that are missing. But you know, I think we just try as well as we can to get it, you know, perfect. But nothing ever is perfect, which was also part of, you know, the healing journey is. Life is messy and we are humans after all. So learning to go, just be proud of it, damn it, and just stop looking, you know, stop trying to find something wrong with it. So that's kind of where I'm trying to be right
There
now.
you go. Kiki might have helped us out here. She said she needs you need a poet who edits, and she knows
Yes.
she looks in my mirror. There you go. When
The
anybody
second one,
look, yeah,
the second one. There, I'm calling Kiki then.
reach out, Kiki.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you need somebody. But I agree with her. You need somebody who understands what
Yes,
you're trying to
yes.
do, not just like it needs to be structured in this specific way. That's very important to have people and an editor that understands that.
Now, unless I'm mistaken, I think Kiki is also on the East Coast as well.
I believe you are right about that. Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely closer to me than you are closer. We are far apart. You're in the future.
Well, yeah, it's Saturday afternoon now.
Exactly. You'll have to tell me how it turns out.
The and funnily, while you're sort of in winter with snow-clad sort of paddocks there, I'm in
You're in.
blistering heat here of 37 degrees and 40 degrees, and yeah,
I'm
it's
jealous of
pretty
that.
crazy. So, oh yeah. Um, Actually, yeah. When I came to New York, what earlier, my April, May last year, I for some
Yeah.
reason thought you were close to New York as well, and I thought, oh, it'd be lovely to catch up to you in person. Um, oh, Kiki's in Florida,
That's right. Florida. Yeah. She's in Florida.
and there you go. Most of her clients are in Australia, so there you go. Yeah. Um, the I didn't realize that you were 4 or 5 hours away from New York. I did catch up
Oh,
with Tanika and a few LaBelle. I caught up to them in person, but who knows? Next time I'll just have to allow more time so that I can go further upstate from New York there and towards Michigan even, and who
I
knows?
wish I was. And New York is a lot more fun, probably,
Yeah.
than where I'm at. But
My previous trip in 22, I went through DC, but then I didn't know Nav at that time, and I believe she's close to around your DC area. So never know. Next trip, yeah.
that's right. Next time around.
So shall we get into another piece?
Sure.
Let's your
I'd
work.
love to. Okay. Another piece that I have a couple of them highlighted here. Um, I have a piece called Forgotten the Surface. I would exhale every last breath to fill your lungs as mine grows still, if only to resurrect you. I would steal a kiss in your final moments to taste last words never spoken from your lips. As you rise up, I sink lower into depths of knowledge. I've already forgotten the surface. I'm sinking within bitter grief, fast asleep, quilted in roses, pulling me deeper. I know I'm drowning, but I've already forgotten the surface. Waters of disillusion leave deposits on my soul, that ever-bearing torment of memory and regret for lost youth, time-worn ambitions and unrealized dreams, buried within infinities of you and this ocean of longing. One a shroud, the other a tomb, and I've already forgotten the surface. Treading water, dancing among dark disorder, I still believe in the phrases we breathed. As arms outstretched towards crystalline radiant skies grow tired from excavating the depths for someone to give, someone to save, but I couldn't and I didn't, and I've already forgotten the surface.
That very first line, I will exhale my last breath to resurrect you. That there itself to me is a true unconditional love, isn't it? Where we think beyond the self.
Yeah, when you would give your life and no question in place of somebody else's. Absolutely.
Your parent, whatever, that in itself says, if you can extend beyond the self, that was what a powerful start to it. And another, there was again so many lines, and then the torment of memory and regret. That is, I'm going to say, majority of the time, for majority of the people, that becomes that stumbling block where they can't get over, isn't it? Because I think if you take the memory, the torments and the regrets, and use that through self-reflection to grow and to overcome challenges within yourself, then that's a good thing. And I think that things happen in our life for a reason. Opportunity to overcome shadows within our own self.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that for me it was this huge theme of nostalgia. Wanting to, just, I don't want to grieve. You just want to hold on to that piece of yourself. It's almost like losing your identity and trying to find a whole other identity. And I think being able to hold loss and love and longing and like everything in the same hands. And I don't think sometimes we realize we can do both, all of it. We can hold space for all of it. And sometimes I think we don't feel like we can. And we get very lost and very, and of course, that makes a lot of sense because sometimes you cannot see past the humongous, weight of grief, the humongous weight of loss and just, like I said, you're grieving so many things, but also through this process and through the writing, just the different versions of myself that started to spring up. I'm not just that person that I was. I am now this person. I am now this version of me. I'm now this person. And to be able to both miss this old version and appreciate the new and hold them simultaneously, that's really what, for me, that this was speaking to. And just the like I said, it isn't just a book about sadness, and loss. There's a lot of love poems in here too. There's a lot of hopefulness, and I think that's also a theme that is strung through there as well. So.
And Nav and Kiki also echoed my own sentiments there too. The ending was absolutely beautiful. And just before the end, there was a line that went, escalating the depths for someone. That was...
Dave. Yeah. I just flipped up, of course, like I had the page right there and I just flipped off the pages. You would think that I took the thing out of it. I always appreciate people who can memorize their own poems. It's basically, it says, but it's looking for someone to save, but I didn't and I couldn't, and I've already forgotten the surface, because in the situation that I had, I felt like I was still responsible, even though logically I couldn't have done anything. Nobody could have done anything in those moments, but you still carry that guilt.
Yeah.
If I would have only done this, if I would have only pushed for that, if I would have only, so for me, that ending was about, I couldn't save you. And the pain that makes you feel like you somehow on some level are responsible, even though you did everything that you could have in that situation.
Yes. And that is, yeah. And it's important that we do realize that. I know this close friend of mine who took his life after 35 years that I'd known him. I was 4 days away from catching up with him. 4 days away, and his own daughter said he was so excited and looking forward to meeting me, but it just happened to be in between.
The time,
He,
yeah.
his son's his second son who took his life a year before, it happened to be his anniversary, and something snapped and bang, he took his life. 4 days away from it. So, but I just say, why couldn't I have gone earlier? But who's to know, right? Who's to know?
It's a hard thing to process, isn't it? That feeling. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, with that piece, so many of those the lines in there, each of them on their own are so thought provoking.
I appreciate that. And I think, that section that poem is in, that there are a lot of poems very similar. And each is its own, piece, but very similar message in that section there. One of the things, the reason, it's called East Coast Heartbreak, and I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. The East Coast became a place where we love to go vacation. And so before everything happened, we used to go to places like Savannah and Cape Cod and, up through like Connecticut and things. And then after, it became like a refuge. And I just would explore more of that part of that I just loved it. It's like my heart is a piece of me is there. And so this last time that we went to Ogunquit, Maine, and it is beautiful. It was just so peaceful and beautiful. So some of the poems from this book were written and they're named, for those places too. So it was also about my journey of like escaping or trying to outrun the loss, to go to the East Coast to do that. And of course you can't escape it, but you can, be surrounded by things that remind you that there is beauty all around you, even in the darkest moments. So for me, that became, it became that part of that area.
Yeah.
Geographically for me, I just loved it there.
And that you mentioned Maine, and like last year when they had that tragedy there, it's you wonder how people could just go and ruin such beautiful, peaceful sort of places with some tragedy. Wasn't it in Maine that there was a ex-military guy who went crazy and started
I
opening up?
know what you're talking about. I'm not exactly sure right now off the top of my head where that happened. Yeah, I think you're right, though. I do.
The Kiki has a request.
Okay.
The title poem of your book, and she'd love to hear that.
Oh, she wants to hear East Coast Heartbreak.
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to read that. So, East Coast Heartbreak. Just to give you a little background about this. So, I love reading poetry on Instagram too, and finding amazing poets. And one of my favorite poets on Instagram is Scott Ladoudy. I don't know if you've ever read him, but he is phenomenal. I love his book. I'll plug his book, Play the Devil. He's just a phenomenal writer. And so I know, like, we don't, I think when we're writing, we find a bunch of people, or at least for me, that you just really love their style and you really love the way that they can like flow in that style. And this was also about me just trying a bunch of different styles. But the story behind this poem was this actually we were driving and I was at this gas station, and so when you hear the story of the poem, this is exactly what happened. And it's kind of like this sardonic, like sarcastic poem. And I love, like, I'm a huge fan of like Zelda Fitzgerald and all the like really flowery, beautiful words. So this was fun for me to be able to be a little bit sarcastic and sardonic about this. So thank you for requesting this, Kiki. This is called East Coast Heartbreak. And this is also the title of my book. I once saw true love alongside the highway at a gas station in Albany, New York, framed through the back window of the car ahead. He casually tousled her hair, their eyes and foreheads a whisper apart, her laughter the only sound piercing through the staleness of gas station air. And as I stood there, emotionally bankrupt, running on empty, feeling a deep ache, I wondered if maybe someone should cut me open, like one of those Operation Games, and see if I'm missing all the butterflies in the stomach. As they drove off onto I-90 East to write their own vows, on the back of a fast food napkin, I couldn't shake the thought, if only I had a match handy, because what's a little existential dread without the threat of combustion, amidst the cliches and carbon monoxide as we drive off into that East Coast heartbreak. So that's East Coast Heartbreak. I hope you like that.
Sure. My mind's racing from the very line where he said, I once saw true love at the gas station. Mom, I'll tell you what.
They were so happy and I was so miserable, and I was just like, no. But it was just a raw, unadulterated, like, it was just it, but it came so easy. And I wrote it down too, like, as I wrote it down like on a receipt. I was just like writing the pieces down, then we got back to where we were staying and I actually wrote the piece. So yeah, that's where that came from.
At the start of the show, we were talking about, you don't know who hears words that figure off their thoughts. Just on that first line, I was reflecting back. I have met partners that at the laundromat, even, would you believe, best place, because you're sitting there talking and getting conversations. I've met more like laundromat than I have at bars and wherever else. So that's and people, a lot
exactly.
of my, you're weird. What the hell do you go to laundry? You go down there, he sees you folding your clothes and all, and oh, there's a domestic male. They start talking, and next thing you know, you're going out. So,
exactly. I just saw Ryan Bayou King is his handle. He said he dwells in the sardonic, and he is amazing. He's also one of my favorite poets, also. Yeah, he's also given me a lot of really great life advice that has really helped me with, just embracing the humanness of and the messiness, because I really struggle with that. I'm always like, I'm not doing it right, or I'm just really frustrated about this. And it's like, it's okay when someone tells you, like, it's okay to be messy. It's okay to not be, to have it all together. And it's like, okay. So like that was also part of this too, is just embracing a whole different, a bunch of sides of me. And that was, like I said, it was fun to write, yeah. But it was also very, a little stray from like my usual.
What's Ryan's handle? I don't think I'm across.
Bayou King. I don't know. Did I hit something? I'm sorry. He's up in the comments. I don't know. I can't see it on here now, but I don't know. He has his stuff. Like, I've gotten a lot of his chapbooks, and I don't know if he has a lot of poetry on his page right now. Mm-hmm. But his chapbooks are phenomenal. Oh, wow. Like, his writing is wonderful.
Mm. Now, before we get into more poetry, you also have a passion for other art areas of the arts, right? You love your dancing, you love your music as well. Quite often I see posts of you with the guitar in your hand, and as I said, with your music, your taste in music that you used to post in reels. I said, oh, I didn't even know people knew these people, these musos, you know, like, and we've chatted before too.
Yes, we have
That,
chatted about music. Absolutely. I love music is a huge connection, and I love all art forms. And one of the things that I kind of like came into this, what I feel like is like a little like renaissance with trying all these different things. So dancing, so poetry became an outlet for me, but dancing did also. Um, to give you a short little backstory on it, um, you know, I was just a mess. And of my best friend that I used to be best friends with in high school, her younger brother that I've known since we were like little kids, he taught ballroom dance and salsa dance. And there's this backstory to it where he ended up doing something to help my son get this costume for like Comic-Con, and he just like swooped in at the last minute and helped him out. And I was like, how can I repay you? And he said, come take a lesson. And I was like, I don't dance. Like, no. And he's like, no, just please, just, come, just do me a favor and do that. So that's how I got there. And oh my God, I fell in love with it. It became just a safe space for me to just to be with myself and my emotions and connection and all kinds of things. And I absolutely loved it. So I've been dancing off and on now for the past 7 years, until, I injured myself 2 days ago. So hopefully there will be more dancing. But unfortunately, I thought I was a little bit more, flexible than than I am. And it's like
that's really good.
sometimes our bodies remind us like you can't do that anymore. And that was what happened. But yeah, dance became one of them. Music has always been a passion of mine. I love music. I love talking to people about music. I get so excited, people who want to talk about music with me. And then my cousin, he plays guitar. I have a lot of very, very, very talented musicians in my family. I'm very proud of all of them. But my cousin, he asked me if I wanted to like get into this band. We were gonna make this little band of ours and just play. He wanted me to play bass, and I'm like, I've never picked up a bass in my life. And he's like, I can teach you. So I went and I started practicing on his wife's like bass, and then I ended up getting my own, and I fell in love with it. I'm like, this is like it's like guitar, but like not as many strings, so it wasn't as difficult. Because I used to try to play guitar and I never was really great at it, but I found that the bass was just, it kind of fit. And so I did that, and then I did like a pottery class, and I love like decorating and art. So I just kind of like threw myself into like all of these ways to just, express myself. And it's really been a great part of that journey. I love art. I love, all of it.
Well, Nav said that you're a bass player. Yeah, she's.
I can't play very much, but sometimes I will post videos and I'll be like, people don't want to really see this. And then I'll do like a little thing like, do you want to see this? And everyone's like, yes. So I was like, all right. So I'll learn a song and I'll get really excited that I like learned this song. And then I'll be like, here it is, like a tiny little snippet of this song I learned. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I feel kind of like, I think it's pretty cool. I thought it would be something to try, and I didn't really expect to like be able to pick it up, but I love it. I really love it. It's another outlet that I love.
I'm glad you find solace in music and dancing, because I myself, my TV just collects dust. If I've got a spare hour, I usually have my room in darkness and I just listen to music. So 4 of my senses are shut off, where I'm not seeing anything, tasting anything, or smelling anything. Only input into my brain is from my ears, and I hear so much detail in the music that you normally wouldn't hear. So I
Yeah.
have my total darkness when I'm listening to music. And honestly, I'll sit there for an hour or two listening to music in darkness. I come out of when I switch it off, put the lights back on, I feel like I've slept for about 8 hours. I find that so relaxing and so decompressing from everything. And when
Yeah.
you reflect back to, because I get a lot of healing from that. And when you reflect back even to prehistoric man, even the caveman days, they even banged 2 sticks or 2 stones and made music, and people danced around fires. Right? It's a universal language to me, music. you know.
Yeah, there's just something about, I mean, to me, you know, and it's its own form of poetry,
Yeah,
really. I mean, lyrics and writing, and I think we connect through all of the lyrics and the songs and just the emotions that it brings out with us. And I don't know about you, but I'm like that person who has to listen to it, like not just once, but you're just in the car, like the whole car ride could just be repeat,
yeah,
repeat, repeat, repeat. And I'm just like, hit me again, make it hurt harder, you know, like just keep going, like go back, go back, go back. But yeah, it definitely is something that I deeply connect with. And I've always been just a lover of music, and people who love music and connecting with people who, and then just switch, you know, hey, what's this band? What is this? And I love, like, one of the things I love the most is when people send me songs.
yeah.
Like, I'm just like, please please share some music with me. I've gotten a lot of great music just from, you know, meeting up with people and here and having them send me something, and I love it. So I appreciate
I,
that.
when I'm at home, I've pretty much got music 24 hours. Even when I sleep, I've got transcendental music playing in the background as I sleep, or meditational music. During the day, I've got different music playing. At work, most times I would have music, my earbuds, except when I've got meetings, and that's why I hate meetings because I've got to shut the music off. You know,
Turn the music
yeah.
off.
Yeah, otherwise 24 hours I've got music playing. As soon as
Yeah.
the show, the music will be back on, you know. Um, all right, now we've been going for an hour, and it only feels like we just started.
Like at all.
So I don't ever want to hear that Amy is hesitant or shy to go on.
No, I can't use the excuse anymore.
And Amy, honestly, although we've never met, I feel like, yeah, I've known you for ages in this, just in this hour even, and just through our chats. And I think it's that the authenticity of who you are, which is evident in your work. It's evident in the way you look at life. Um, so, look, it's an honest pleasure and privilege for me to be able to spend this time with you. Generally, for the one reason only, when Robert and I were featured a year and a half ago, whatever, this show used to go even over 2 hours. But what Instagram started doing was the archive around the 1 hour 45 minute mark. It runs out of memory to archive
Wow.
videos.
Yeah.
Then I've got to do a screen recording, blend them, and the screen recording is never as good as the original download.
Mm.
So I keep the show at an hour and 45 minutes or so. Then that way I can get the full video for the YouTube and the Spotify podcast. But honestly, an hour, it doesn't feel like even an hour has gone.
No, it doesn't.
It's
I feel
so let's get.
the same.
And also, thank you to everybody. You've got some great people who come into the room and supported you through, again, showing how well you are loved and appreciated and respected within this community as well, Amy. And never stop believing that. Never stop. You know, there are many, many people who hear, who believe in you, and get a lot from your words, and from you being who you are as a person.
I really thank you. And I appreciate that. And I am so grateful to all of them and everybody who's, you know, lifted me up and I've leaned on, and they've, you know, just been such a great supportive force. And like I said, you know, it was really hard for me because I didn't really have a lot of that with the experience that I was going through. And this is a place where I did
Mm.
find that. I found connection. I found people who I could lean on, who just, you know, really lifted me up, supported the writing, and just, you know, I felt very comfortable, and I'm very humbled and very grateful for each and every person that I've crossed paths with. And I've made some great friends, great connections, and it just means so much. And, you know, and they're also, you know, parts of them are also, you know, echoed throughout the book as well, because I'm just so thankful to have, you know, come across that. And it just is a beautiful thing.
And they say like attracts like, right? As you said, like, no, she's another authentic soul. Jenny, she's another beautiful, authentic.
Yeah, Jenny's amazing, creative, artistic, beautiful reels. They're beautiful.
I'm hoping to actually feature Jenny on the show as well. I have shared a screen with her before in Sky's lives that she has with Angela Sam. But yeah, I'd like, hopefully I can feature Jenny as well soon because I really love Jenny's sort of work as well. Very profound, heartfelt pieces.
Yeah, they're very genuine, very, like you said, Nav and Jenny, and they're just such genuine souls.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes that is a hard thing to find, but when you find it, you know, you hold on to it and you appreciate it. So I appreciate that.
All right. Stage is all yours.
All right. You want me to share another piece out of the book here?
Whatever you
okay.
like showcase to the audience. As I said, you don't know who will see the show, who will listen to it.
Yeah.
And if the right person in some corner of the world hears it and brings you success with your writing, with your books, magazine publications, which congratulations too on that's a considerable amount of magazine publications you've had too. So that's another good issue. My hope that one of the reason my primary driver for hosting this show is people that I find whose work is authentic and genuine. I just want to promote them that in the hope that somebody in some corner hears them and brings them success in their hears them and then opens the doors to success. So fingers crossed.
I appreciate
your work.
Letting me have this moment with you and just, you know, the incredible amount of time and energy. I mean, I'm just like so appreciative of like the little, you know, even the promo that you make. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, this just doesn't feel real, you know. Here I am, here you are, there's music behind us. Like, this is so cool. I'm just so appreciative of the artistic, you know, talents and your time that you've given to other people. So thank you again.
It's a pleasure. And if it brings, as I said, even creating the YouTube and the podcast is not so bad, but the YouTube, it all consumes time. But as I said, if somebody outside say for example, like in India, I believe TikTok's not allowed, so YouTube's huge. And similarly in some of the other parts of the world where YouTube's big, so I'd create that post in YouTube as well. So fingers crossed. What's meant to be will be. The right person might be, then open some doors for you.
I really appreciate that. That's amazing. I do have a couple, you know, more pieces. You can tell me when you're done. When I need
40 minutes.
I've never read this one before, like on a live, but because we were talking about music so much, I kind of want to share this one with you. So I was gonna read a different one, but I'm gonna go to this one for now. So this one, again, it's just kind of something that I had fun writing. It's called Mixtape, and those of us who are old enough know what a mixtape is. Everybody's got playlists now. We had mixtapes, okay? So this one's called Mixtape. I want to make you a mixtape kind of love, the kind where my hand finds yours and we don't say much because we don't need to, where words unspoken slip off the tongue at random, reckless and unguarded, the kind that makes you wonder if the end of everything will come with a sunrise or a sunset, desires draped in velvet irony, the kind that dances with death in the rain, where you find fragments of me lingering in the ghosts, like ghosts in the machine. I want to be that fall you never saw coming, the kind that's desperate and deep and doesn't let go, to share with you both poetry and storms, to walk beside you in endless adventure, as rain writes our story in liquid shadows on pavement, the kind that when I'm just a whisper of your past, I'll still always be stirring in the air like your favorite song, playing in the back of your mind, recollected with a smile, as you repress how my lips once tasted like honey. And that is mixtape.
Yes, I do remember the mixtapes, and then when they start stretching and start sounding like the Chipmunks, and you go, "Oh, damn, my favorite tapes! I got to go and make or buy another one."
Right.
We don't say much because we don't need to. That is such a profound line, because to me, in the most authentic of friendships, the most authentic of relationships, be they professional or emotional bonds, it's nice where you can just walk or sit. You can
Be yourself.
hear each other think, but you don't have to say anything, and that's amazing. That's a true, profound sort of bond where you're communicating at another level. That's and there was a line there: dances with death in the rain. Yeah,
It's like, I think that's what it kind of connects to what we were saying, that those lyrics, how deeply, they affect us, and just the love of music, sometimes a shared love of
yeah,
music, and just wanting to be like that special, or that, memorable to someone,
yeah.
to know that you mattered.
Um, Another line that really spoke to me of authentic friendships and bonds and relationships. Share with you both poetry, and I think it was pain. Poetry and pain, was it? I think
Storms. Storms, yeah.
storms.
Poetry storms. Yep.
And that's the other thing that such a simple statement, but so hard, isn't it? There's many like friends. They're there, but when the storms come, you gotta the number.
Yeah. Where did everybody go?
Yeah, I
Right.
remember my father saying to me before he passed away, I would have been about 10. He said, on your deathbed, if you count the number of friends in one hand, you're a rich man. You'll die a rich man. And that's
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's so true. Sometimes, it's just, to me, it's all about the authenticity and the connection. And like you said, if you find that in one, two, three people, then you are rich, and that
yeah.
aspect of your life.
I'm one of those social characters that even when in the middle of nowhere, I'd be on a lonely beach or in a bar of a town of 30 people or something like that, and I just want to be alone. Out of nowhere, somebody comes out, and next thing they're there talking to me for about an hour. And so I've got a lot of, let's say, friends, but more acquaintances. But it's funny when I could count on one hand the people that I know will be there if I was taking my last breath on the road right now. And yet,
Yeah.
people say, quite often, people say walking on the street with you is like walking the Queen. It's everybody, hi, 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 everybody.
Everybody knows you.
Uh, but honestly, I can count on one hand the people that I can really, honestly share anything and everything about when I'm in need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's priceless.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Yeah. As I said, I love the your pieces. You got to read. You got to read because you'll reread and reread, and each time you read, a line will trigger off other thoughts, and that's really timeless. It really is. You know.
Aw. I love to hear, the fact that, not just like reading, like you said, not just like hearing it, or just like kind of marinating in the lines and going back and rereading them, and I'm glad that you feel that about what I've written. That means a lot to
Even
me.
the
That
people,
you would want to go back and read it more than once.
yeah, even the people that are coming into the room. It's funny, as we were saying before, like attracts like. The Radiant Poet came into the room. I featured her probably about a year and a half ago on this show, and I love her work. I've got both her books eventually. Um, even I haven't seen Radiant for a while, and now I see her in the room there. Hi, Radiant, and she's another beautiful, honest soul, and writes very authentic pieces from her heart that she writes as well. Miss Betty is there. Ash, the nature of Ash came in. It's funny, all these people are all like attracts like, these are all very authentic people who write very. So congratulations again to you, Amy. That's
Oh,
to
that
have
means so much.
these people believe in your work and you. That's it really does.
For just the love and support that I feel being here and sharing this with everybody. So thank you, everyone.
Stage is yours.
Great. I'm going to read one that is called Anarchy in Bloom. July humidity melts and peels back lush leaves of gladiola blooms, a flower born of contradictions, elegant yet audacious. Sword-like leaves unsheathed, promising both danger and splendor, the rebel of the garden, flipping off convention with every blaze of petal. We dig and plant them in holes deep and defiant, co-conspirators in midnight plots casting shadows, like elongated question marks bursting through, with revelations in tender light. They sway red, pink, yellow, each hue but a promise, etched in petals then broken, like brittle love, so fragile and fleeting amongst summer heat. Remain silent, biding time, plotting revolutions, yet bend beneath the weight of mortality. Every kiss stolen by the breeze, while whispered secrets lost and faded, wave silent goodbyes under the setting sun. Something once vibrant, now ember, they thrived. As we beg to emerge as a beacon of defiance in a sea of conformity, a refusal to accept mediocrity. And that is Anarchy in Bloom.
That's a very empowering piece. Um, where we bend beneath the wake of mortality. How real, how true is that? A lot of we feel as we go through impetuous youth, we feel infallible and we think, we're so damn good or with successes, and then you realize from the day you're born, you're going to one place, no different to anybody else, and that's your grave. Intrigues me when people are always in a rush in life, because where the hell are you rushing to? You're rushing to your grave, for crying.
Where are you rushing off to? Yeah.
Um, Another line that I really identified with is up front there when you said a flower born of contradictions. Um, because a lot of people see me as a big contradiction. On one hand, they see somebody who would walk a mile if they took one step for them, that I would give my last breath to. But on the other hand, they see this person who will walk from one end to the other end of the world to make sure justice is given or justice prevails, because I've got that black and that white. As much as I would give, I would injustice. I can't stand to see it. One of the reasons I could never work in law enforcement like my own father did is if I walked into a child molestation or a rape, I would be judge, jury, and executioner. So that contradiction, people say, one minute you're like a priest, you're there for strangers, and then other minute you're falling through somebody's ceiling, coming through at them in the night. You know what I mean? And that contradiction. And I think we all have those contradictions in ourselves. In certain circumstances we behave a certain way, and then other times we behave a certain way. It's what we hold, our values that drive us. But that doesn't deviate from the beauty of the flower.
Right. Yeah. And I think that part of the grief that I was, struggling with was just this, like, this, with society, the expectations of what society wants you to be. what they want, what they expect from you, how they want you to grieve, what they want you to do, and just the flat out rejection of anything that they don't think is, you know, the norm, and how much, you know, we both should not care about that, but how much we do care about that at the same time. So, you know, that's where kind of this poem sprung from, that like really inner turmoil that I was having with, they seriously don't, like, so many people don't understand, and yet I'm being judged. Like, I felt like, you know, in so many ways, like everything that I was doing was being judged, and it's not something, like, this is not a process you judge. I don't believe.
Now,
Um,
here's a
so
comment that was put up by Miss Betty to The Nature of Ash. She goes, "This is my introduction to ultramarine poetry. Such a beautiful artist, writer. Glad I stopped by." Now,
aw, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much. It was nice. It was nice meeting you in here. I appreciate that so much.
so,
I love that so much. Um, I'm trying to see. I know I've been reading it. I'm like looking for, like, let's see if there's one that is one of my favorite ones. Let's see. All right. Um, I'm like, I know the ones that I always read, so I'm trying to do a little bit different from the ones that I've read. So I'll read another one about one of the places in the East Coast that I really love, and this one's kind of a love a love poem. This is called Race Point Beach. The heat of a New England summer is a madness all of its own, a fever dream where the only relief is the faint solution of ocean spray carried to shore by a sympathetic breeze. It kisses my lips. I'm starved for the salty taste of your skin forged in the furnace, of molten sun that hangs heavy above us like a verdict. So ripe it bleeds citrus orange light across the horizon. Sand clings to me with a hunger that echoes your touch. It's a cruel sweetness. These grains of sand hold fast to skin, showing no mercy. Untethered by tan lines, within softness and sorrow, I feel liberation. We could lie down, let the world spin on without us, but the sands of time are a miser that cannot be bought or sold. They instead must be spent until we are all bankrupt of them. For some things are too vast to hold. They can't be bottled like love and that tango of skin on that Cape Beach. Watch me burn, becoming smoke on the wind. And if you remember anything, let it be the heat, the all-consuming fire of what we were. And that is Race Point Beach.
what a beautiful ending too. And the sands of time are a miser that cannot be bought. My goodness, how true is that? um, the old saying that time is free, but you can never get it back, right? It's a beautiful piece. Beautiful piece.
Thank you. I'm glad that I'm glad that everybody's enjoying them.
Amy,
I really
Amy,
appreciate that.
yeah, listening to you all day, listening to you read poetry all day long. Trust me. You know, um,
Oh, that means a lot. I should make the audiobook version now.
well, you should. Yeah. The and it's good. Then that's the other thing I like on this, where I've got a whole hour and a half hour and three quarters focused on the one person. Otherwise, you come up in an open mic, you read one, maybe two pieces, have a bit of chat, and you go. Then the next person comes, and the next artist to follow you or before you might be a very different style of artist. So you've gone from you've taken the listener, taken me to this point, and then the next artist, not taking anything, might be a totally different type of writer that takes you away, and I feel like a tea bag, hot, cold, and whereas this, I just get to
Around.
enjoy the warmth of the beauty, the authenticity of your work for a full hour and three quarter, right? So I love it.
I'm really glad that you are enjoying it. And like I said, these are kind of, scattered throughout, and kind of goes through that, feeling of just kind of, all over the place. I mean, there's so many, there's happiness, there's joy, there's sadness, there's longing, there's nostalgia, there's anger, sarcasm.
Well, they're all human emotions, right? A lot of people shy away from anger. To me, that's a normal. It's how you manage that anger is the issue. But anger is a very normal reaction. That no, it's a valuable emotion because through that anger, you can grow. But it's how you manage that is the issue. Miss
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Miss Betty just also put another comment. She goes, she doesn't have to memorize her poems. Reading them herself is a gift too. So there you go. I'm like you. I
Thank you.
memorize even a 3-line haiku that I write. I'm hopeless, right?
Oh, I love that. Okay, this one is really kind of an important one for myself. I think in the book I wrote a lot about other people, people who got me through really difficult situations, and there's a lot of that. And then the last, piece I kind of wrote to myself, which I think is something that I haven't really done a lot of. So I really liked, exploring that piece and kind of like coming into the transformative person of like you said, like all the things that I've been like building up to this moment, all of the ways that I'm trying to express myself and kind of feel out who we really are at the heart of who we are. So this one is called Unapologetic. I've picked up the language of the underworld, its rhythm of despair. I know the pulse of both worlds, where darkness isn't a cage but a companion, leading me through nighttime roads. I'm no longer afraid of the dark. I drive into it, old scars turning into canvas. Rebirth is not about pretending the past never happened. It's about climbing over it, shedding it like a second skin. Now I walk with eyes wide open, carrying the weight of 1,000 winters in my chest. Within my bones hums a quiet power, like a forgotten song that only I remember. Like Persephone, I am not a victim of fate. I am its author, its keeper. Soil turns in my hands, because I will it so. And from cracks in stone, life pushes forth, undaunted, unapologetic. This, you see, is true power. To fall and rise again, to carry darkness and to chase light. Pomegranate seeded tragedy tethered me here, trapped between worlds. But now I shape the rhythm of my own rebirth. Time is elastic. It bends for me, stretching and contracting, like the wings of Icarus approaching the sun. I wander through the quiet, still space between seconds, rewriting the rules of fate with a loaded typewriter. Spring does not come because it is a time, but because I breathe it into being. Flowers don't just bloom, they erupt in defiance. No longer a figure of myth, but living embodiment of the eternal cycle. A dramatic flourish of light and dark, a testament of transcendence and transformation, embracing the raw, untamed truth of what lies truly beneath.
Wow.
Unapologetic.
That is loaded with so many empowering lines. My goodness, that one piece alone, I could read and read and reread 6 months later and get more from it because so many individual, like they were beautifully blended together as a whole, but so many individual lines that are so empowering. That is absolute. Nav just put in to carry darkness and chase light. That is such a profound statement. A lot of people shy away from the dark, but without the dark, what meaning has the light have? You know,
Yes,
you see
yes.
The same thing in one of the very first lines. I know the pulse of both worlds.
Yeah, I kind of felt like trapped, you know, between the underworld, between, you know, the dead and the living. You kind of feel stuck
Yeah.
in this like liminal space. And
And
I'm a huge fan of like mythology, and I love to weave, you know, pieces of literature or famous, you know, pieces of poetry or something into my work too. But just like the, you know, the myth of Persephone
mm,
and the underworld, and I did resonate, you know, with some of that. And but it was really important to say, like, I'm no longer afraid of it. I think,
mm,
you know, there was this empowerment of like, um, I know the pulse of both worlds, you know, where darkness is no longer a cage, but it's a companion, you know, leading me through. Um, and just like the, you know, talking about rebirth, and when I said, I'm not a victim of fate, I'm its author, you know,
mm.
taking that power back. I think that's what kind of this whole book, you know, is leading up to. And so that's, you know, kind of
The,
where you end. Not
some of
really
the
end, where I kind of am beginning in a way, but you know, the beginning is the end is the beginning.
yeah, and even the one rebirth is not pretend the past never happened. That past is what made us, right?
Exactly. Everything that has happened to you has led you to the moment that we are sitting here talking to one another right now.
Exactly, exactly right. And yet, how many people have you come across that their past is so painful they bury it, but it somehow sprouts again like a weed in the garden. You can't put sand over it and pretend it goes away. It just pops back up.
Right.
You may as well deal with it and rip it right out of the ground, right?
Right.
As I said, so many empowering lines. Even true power is to fall and rise again. No further. There's no truer words spoken, Amy. That is, and the shape the rhythm of my own rebirth. When life knocks us down, people can be there to support you, to guide you, to show you the path, but only you can rise from that and take the next step. No one can walk through the fire for me or for you. We've got to walk through that fire ourselves, right? That is amongst one of the most powerful pieces I have heard or read or heard. That really, really is a very, very empowering piece. Every line in that. It
Thank
absolutely compliments to you on writing that one.
you. I appreciate that so much. It was very, like I said, it was very special to me to end
Yeah,
on the book with that piece, because I feel like it does, you know, it was to me.
yeah,
It was something I wrote, you know, to myself, which I hadn't spent a lot of time doing. And I really kind of wanted to, you know, to allow myself that, and just, you know, embrace that.
yeah.
So I'm
Oh,
really glad that you liked that, and that means a lot.
uh, tell you what, you should be very proud of yourself for writing that one. That is just an amazing piece. I love all your work. That one is just phew, knocked me. Yeah. Uh, um, as I've said to other guests too, Amy, this is only the first time. It's not the last time, right? The door is always. You have got something good happening and you want to come back on the show, just reach out to me. It'll be an absolute pleasure to have you on. And also, thank you to everybody in the audience too. Your comments and all are really, really supportive in helping our featured guests to give more of themselves, right? So your support in the room is invaluable to the success of the show, to the quality of the show, and us being able to know more about the featured guest as well. Um, and Amy, as I said, I will be when I supposed to create the YouTube and the podcast over the next week or so. I will share the links with you. You're welcome to use them as you wish.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
and I cannot thank you enough uh, for agreeing to come on the show. Uh, I really, really am pleased that you did. and we'll next step is have you and Nav together.
Oh, I love
But
that.
yeah, now we've got just about 10 minutes left, so I want to get the thanks and appreciation to everybody in the room and to yourself out of the way so that you can take us with your closing piece or pieces. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, Amy. It really, really has.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you and everybody else, you know, interacting with everybody else in the room and the lovely comments and support. I'm really humbled, and I just am so appreciative that you asked me to be here. And I'm just happy that I could be here to share this with you. And thank you again.
Oh, my pleasure, and it's an honor to have you on the show. It really is.
Thank you. It's an honor to talk with you always, anytime, about music, poetry,
Yes,
anything.
yes.
But it is so nice what you do here, and you create this space. Like, I mean, part of the hardest thing is like getting it out there and telling people about it. And how do you do that when you're just one person? And so I really appreciate you taking the time and letting me use, you know, your platform to talk about this and to read some of my pieces. I really thank you a lot.
Absolute pleasure, and you're most welcome, Amy. As I said, this is only the first time, but certainly not the last time. Okay.
I definitely hope not. For sure.
Stage is yours.
Okay. I'm not sure. I was gonna say is Nav still in the room? Because it's
Yeah.
so
Let me just. I'm sharing all show long. Yeah, Nav's still here. Nav's
she here. I was gonna say what I was gonna say. What do you want to request? So, like I said, I wish I would have like printed out some of the newer stuff, but with everything that's gone on this week.
What do you see as one of your signature pieces that that'll stand out in people's minds? The last piece you read to me was that but
you know, so in the book, so for the book, I think that I've had a couple people, there are two pieces that are people always mention that seem to be really, really, really like loved pieces, or people connect with them. And one of them is called The Fall. So I can read that one. And the other one is called Cape Cod June. And those seem to be two. Oh, she wants me to read Bliss. I know why she wants me to read Bliss. Bliss is, you know, it's so funny because like Bliss is a love poem. So Bliss is short. Okay, I'll read Bliss first, and then I'll go back to the one that I said that I was going to read, The Fall. So like she even gave me the page number. I love her so much. She is like page 73. She's the best. Okay, 73. Thank you, Nav. Thank you for your request.
I can't wait.
This is this is Bliss. This is dedicated to Nav. I clutch these beads of sweat around my neck, intricately tracing the base of my throat, as they break and connect with the liquefaction of clothing pooled on the floor. Rosy complexions flush and fade, turning skin fair. Our shared breaths fill the room with lightness and little sighs, each one sweet and new on your mouth, teasing thirsty souls and figure darkness. Such bliss melts gently, and as embers die out, quickly and fade. Your sweetness loiters, a silken thread of honeyed notes on my tongue, haunting my thoughts like a memory of love lost to time. That is Bliss.
I see why Nav likes that one. Beautiful little.
Thank you. Thank you for the request, Nav.
Again, it really shows the authenticity of your love, of your emotions, of your emotion of love, your authenticity of it.
I appreciate your comments. I was just reading what she was writing on here. I got you. So beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important to be authentic, and I think that is, for me, I try to, like, when I love someone, I love them deeply, like, and I hope that they feel that. And for me, it's easy to, I don't know, it's just easy for me to feel that connection. And I kind of just, you know, love with my whole being, if that makes any sense. So I'm glad that that comes through in the writing.
I think that to me, if I can't find that authenticity in love, I'd rather be single. And now it's getting on to 9 years, 9 years. Soon it'll be 9 years since I split up with my ex. And in that time, I've had a couple of brief interludes, but unless I find that authenticity, I'm happy in my own skin, living by myself on my own. I'm quite happy with it, and I'm not going to give up that for unless I find an authentic.
Something that's this, that echoes that same within you, right?
Yeah,
yeah, I completely feel the same.
I'm never been one to commit myself for convenience or anything else. You know, it's
yeah, absolutely. So one of the pieces you asked me about that someone, you know, that people really liked was The Fall. So I'll read The Fall. The blue August evening has soaked itself into the sky and tumbled down gently amongst the trees, flooding cracks between pavement, where weeds and wildflowers grow harsh and fast as my love for you, untamed, unmanaged. These warm, tender nights drift away anymore as I reflect on how perfectly my cheek fits in its home within the depression of your shoulder. So easily loved, so hard to love. Within these nights of easeful conspiracy, when we still believed in vibrant dreams of summer, the trees agreed it was all for the best beneath new moon shimmers, casting silver lapis silhouettes of retrospect. Now all we have is this elusive past that forever remains a harmonious misconception of memory. Nothing spells fall quite like love, and nothing dims the light in your eyes that flickered far enough away to be interpreted as we liked. For it is always the loose ends that hang us. That's The Fall.
I love that profound line at the end. It's the loose ends that hang us, right? Sometimes you can be in that relationship, that friendship, that whatever, and that's 90% there, and it's just those loose ends that can make the sour.
A lot of people have said that they really enjoyed this piece. That, and like I said, Cape Cod June is another one. I don't know how we're doing on time. I know you said.
Let's do Cape Cod as the parting piece. We've got on an hour. We've got an hour and 2 minutes. Would you believe?
I don't believe it. This has been great. I'm not nervous. We can go 4 more hours if you want to know.
Oh, honestly, other than the archive not being a continuous flow past it, I would keep going. But yeah, we'll do. I think there's got to be a part 2. We've got to have a part 2.
Part 2, yeah. Part 2 will be on the horizon.
Yeah.
This is Cape Cod June, and I hope you enjoy it. Spring had broken me as June sweltered out with her last hot week, fanning raging fires. I'm sorry. Can I start over? Okay. Cape Cod June. Spring had broken me as June sweltered out with her last hot week, fanning raging fires, where the strangle of smoke convened with the aching inside my heart, radiant and brilliant, leaving a husk of regret that soon followed all things I've ever loved. I've especially learned to miss the blushing moon among star-speckled skies of those warm New England evenings, among lush greenery and sugar sand beaches, coated thick with sea salt air. This ocean connects me to you, her ripple waves rushing in like fingers strumming a familiar song, as raspberry sorbet and cotton candy clouds dissolve into tints of love and desire. When I think of all the kisses that have melted away in my mouth and fading things we will only know, but we will have forgotten soon, all we could see and none we could share, maybe I've dreamt them all. I want to swim out, stir the surface of the sea, give old ghosts a way to roam. Take me out to her, somewhere beautiful and powerful, drifting deep beneath her satin foam, as wisdom and years pass away. Salty tears masked, so you shall not know this heaviness that I feel. And that is Cape Cod June.
Makes me want to visit the place.
It's so beautiful. You have to go there at least
Yeah,
once.
right.
I love it. It's just the oceans, the sunsets, the everything. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. That part of the East Coast, like I said, there's a piece of my heart that lives there, and I love to go back and visit it frequently when I can, just to be part of that feeling and around nature and surrounded by the beauty of it all.
You should plan out a trip down under. You would love this place. We got some of the nicest coastline around.
But it would.
Yeah. Miss Betty said she'd been to your page and she really she's liked Swallow and she's liked Inception as well. So there you go. Miss Betty's been going and checking your.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, Inception was a fun one to write too. Like I said, the newer ones that I've been writing, I'm like really I really have been excited, and I've seen the growth in the writing, and I hope everybody enjoys those as well. You know, as far as these two, I wrote. It's funny because a lot of these in the book I wrote, you know, a few years ago when I was kind of still, you know, getting into the whole thing. So I do love the new one. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for going to my page. Oh, and she said Rome. Yeah, Rome is one of my favorites. I really love that one too. Thank you.
I tell you what, being 1 hour 46, let's push the envelope and keep our fingers crossed that I can get the full video. As a gift to Miss Betty, she's constantly supports us here. Pick any one of those three and recite any one of those three. Rome, Inception, or Swallow, whichever one you like. As a gift for you, Miss Betty.
I would love that. I'm trying to think how I could do it though, because I don't have anything to look it up on my page, because I'm using my phone. So like that's the only thing, because unfortunately I don't have. That's what I said. I should have printed them out. I don't know. I don't have like my computer. You know, I'm like stuck on the couch right now.
I'll tell you what, Miss Betty. I'm gonna have Nav and Amy on together, and Amy make a note of those three. And Miss Betty will read them for you. I'll make sure I share the date when I have them on, so that Amy can read not one but all three of them for you. Absolutely. Because Miss Betty, I really value the support you give each week to all our featured guests here. You are a beautiful soul. So I want to do that for you. So let's not just read one, let's read them all three on the next one when I have Nav and Amy together.
I would absolutely love to do that, and I apologize for not being a little bit more prepared. Like I said, with everything that crazy that happened in the past couple of days, I've just been like trying to get it all together. So
that's fun.
To have the newer stuff, but I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for showing love to those pieces, and I absolutely love those all the ones that you mentioned. So I would love to come back and read them for you.
Well, again, heartfelt thanks, Amy. You brought me a lot of joy spending this over an hour and 45 minutes with you, hearing your work, talking to you, getting to know of your journey, and I'm sure people in the room will attest to that as well, and anybody who will watch the replays of this. And actually, what I've noticed, quite a few people do watch the replays. The last I featured a couple of weeks ago on the last show, she's from Australia here, and I met her at a live gig. Weeks later, I had people commenting who'd gone and watched the show and
I saw that. I watched the replay of that, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was phenomenal. So, it's incredible.
And I'm sure a lot of people watch this replay as well. So yeah, no, it really has. Again, thank you to the audience. Without you, the quality of the show and the richness, and it really helps the featured guests to give more of themselves, you know, through your interactions. So yeah, it's very important, and thank you. My heartfelt thanks. And Amy, as I said, this is only the first time, not the last time, and
of course, I thank you again for everything, and everybody who's who's watched or who will watch it, and just so, like I said, I'm so humbled that you asked me to be here, and it's just been a pleasure. You've made it so easy, and it doesn't even feel like the time, it just flew by. So it's always a pleasure to talk and chat, and this has just been incredible, and I still can't believe it, but thank you so much for having me here. I just appreciate you so much.
A pleasure and an honor, Amy. It really is. And I do value your friendship. I really do. I really value friendship with authentic, genuine people who have a good grasp of the deeper meaning of life. And you're one of those people.
Thank you so much. I feel the same about you too, Inger.
Heartfelt thanks, Amy. Miss Betty, Nav, Tom, you're another faithful supporter. Everybody, Nature Ash, you're always quite here supporting people as well, and everybody who's been in and out of the room. Thank you. Stay safe, stay blessed. Amy,
Been a pleasure.
knee. I hope it only needs some exercises and you don't need to go under the knife for it, because ACL, I've seen many of those in my time playing basketball.
Yeah. It was not the news I was hoping for, but you know, we'll go from there and see what happens. So it's just you know, another setback, and we'll go through it. Thank you again.
Stay blessed, and I will send you the links when I create that, and I'll add you as a collaborator on that so you can post this on your own page as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Stay safe. Stay blessed.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy the summer.
Bye.
Bye.